Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this live or this replay finds you well and in excellent spirits. Welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. All right. So this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is the weekly Astro Forecast for the week of January 6th through January 12th, 2025. All right, so how are we feeling tonight? Now that the holidays are over, now that it is sort of back to business as usual, how are we feeling? So let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments. How are you starting off the year? And speaking of the chat, we have Monarca. Hello. We have Linda J. Hello. Thank you, ladies, for joining me this evening. I truly appreciate you. All right. So maybe you glance at the title and you're like, what? Frustration is my friend. Yes, it most definitely is, even though it definitely doesn't feel like it. And this is the lesson that we are learning this week. All right. One of the major astrological events of the week is that Mars is retrograding back into the sign of Cancer, and that's actually happening today. All right. And so this is getting us in touch with our emotions. I like to call this transit the temper tantrum transit. All right. Because Mars is not comfortable in Cancer. Mars is not comfortable with emotions. Mars isn't comfortable with feelings. And Cancer is all about feelings. And so we got a taste of this last year, right? So I believe it was in October, between October and November, that Mars was in Cancer, but it was not retrograde, it was direct. And same thing, it was a little uncomfortable. It's a little frustrating to say the least, right? But now with Mars going retrograde, not only are we conserving our energy, not only are we taking it easy, right? But we're also revisiting certain things from the past, all right? And that can bring up feelings of anger, resentment, rage, frustration, all of those things that Mars is known for. But what can I say about that? It's a good thing, even though it doesn't feel good in the moment. All right. But I will get into all of the details in a minute. But of course, we start with housekeeping and announcements. So if you are joining me live on the live this evening, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. All right, Monarca says feeling pretty good. Linda J says glad that it's all over. Maminka says hello, friends. I'm doing well so far this week. All right, good to hear. Good to hear. This is definitely, like I said, if you've watched my yearly astro forecast or if you watched the monthly astro forecast for January, I said ad nauseum that January is a month where we're taking it easy. Okay. This is not the time to be doing the most. This isn't the time to be hitting the ground running. This is the time to be resting and sort of planning behind the scenes. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, the year started and I already feel behind, or there's so much that I want to do, I just don't have the energy for it, that is okay for two reasons. Number one, because Mars is retrograde, and Mars retrograde is like, I need you to take several seats this month. Okay, that's number one. Number two, this is not the natural new year. And if you're not new to this channel, you know I say this every year, right? The natural new year is Aries season in the spring. The spring equinox is the natural new year. So starting all these new things in the dead of winter is always going to be challenging. So be easy on yourself. You don't necessarily have to, not even necessarily, you don't have to be doing the most right now. And I promise you, you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. All right. So, like I was saying, if you are joining me on the live, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Say hi on your way in and hit that like button, please. And thank you. It lets the algorithm know that you enjoy this content so that it will disseminate it to other people who may enjoy it as well. All right. And if you are watching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. Hopefully, you find what you are looking for, whether it's information, confirmation, clarity, enlightenment, illumination. Hopefully you find it with this broadcast and with any of the other content on my channel. And if that is the case, definitely hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell if you haven't already. All right. She said, yes, we all survived the holidays. Yeah, it's so funny that you say that. I was just thinking about that today, about how it does kind of feel like survival between these landmines of spending money, of being emotionally triggered, of having to put on a happy face and do all the things. It's like, yeah, it can feel like you're surviving. Hey, team. Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so happy to see all of you here tonight. Thank you so much. All right. So, in terms of announcements, let's see what I should talk about first. So, now that we are well into the new year, of course, I'm still offering my year ahead reading. So if you haven't signed up for that, you'll definitely want to do that. But the good news is that I've also opened my books to not all, but most of my astrology reading. So I'm back to my regularly scheduled program. And so if maybe you're thinking, okay, the year ahead, that's a little too much for me, I want to dial it back a little bit, then you'll definitely want to book the blueprint. All right. A lot of people don't necessarily know where to start when it comes to readings, what they should schedule, whatever. This is definitely where you would start. This is my signature natal chart reading, where I definitely go through your natal chart in depth so that you know everything about the best subject of all, which is you. All right. So if you're interested, link is in the description box below and tag to the video. And I'm two things. I'm proud of myself and I'm excited because I am launching something on Friday that I've been ruminating on for quite some time, for over a year. And I finally just decided to pull the trigger. And so beginning on Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can join the Cosmic Collective, which is my free online community. So this is not on a social media platform. This is a completely private community that is completely free, where I have a bunch of resources, where you can engage with other members. Think of it as like a 10 times better Facebook group, right? And within this group, I will have your cosmic selfie workshop. So you could take that at any time. I've got a whole slew of resources, and it's a great place to just hang out, learn astrology, and commune with like-minded people. All right. I'm super excited about this. It's called the Cosmic Collective, and I will be launching this on Friday, January 10th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. It's going to be super dope. It's going to be the place to be. So you'll definitely want to join. All right. I'm not even saying that because I created it. Like, I created the type of group that I would like to be in, right? Where I could learn things, where I could talk to people, maybe even find people who live near me and just really get into this, right? The whole point of everything that I do is to take this knowledge, is to take this spiritual knowledge, this astrological knowledge, and bring it to you in a way that you can incorporate into your everyday life. If you notice, I'm not someone who's like overly spiritual. I'm not doing a whole bunch of different things. Like, I live a normal life just like you, but it's gotten better by using astrology and spirituality. And so in an effort to sort of help you on that path, I created this community and I'm super excited about it. So again, January 10th, Friday, this coming Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern is when it launches. And again, it's definitely going to be the place to be. You'll get all the links and all the things. All right. And so look out for that. All right. And so that is what's going on announcement wise. Again, super excited about that. All right. So now let's get into the week. So speaking astrologically, there's not too much going on, but I really do think that Mars retrograde in Cancer is really going to kind of, I don't want to say overshadow the week, but you're definitely going to be feeling it, especially because it is happening today. All right. So today, Mars retrograded back into Cancer. Oh, hello, Jamaica. How are you? You said so glad to be here with you tonight. Oh, I'm so glad that you're here with me as well. Thank you so much for joining. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, not too much going on. However, Mars retrograde in Cancer perhaps will have you feeling all the feels, will have you feeling frustrated, may have you, I don't know, the way that I've been feeling it, it's that I've had these bouts of emotion, like not even, I mean, I've definitely had my fair share of like rage and frustration since Mars has gone retrograde. But over the last couple of days, it's been feeling very like emotional. Like I've had a few good cries and they weren't like boo-hoo cries. They were just like, just literally like releasing emotion, right? So I don't know. This could definitely affect you in a variety of ways. But the reason why I call this live Frustration is Your Friend is because it really is, right? It shows you where you need to fine tune something. It may show you where perhaps you need to just stop, right? I was thinking today and I came to this conclusion like, there are two things that equally suck: going nowhere fast and going really far in the wrong direction. Both of those equally suck, right? And it just feels like it feels so frustrating because perhaps you have this desire to want to get someplace, right? You want to get from point A to point B. And if you're going nowhere fast, it's like you know where the destination is, but you just can't reach it, right? Like you're literally just spinning your wheels and nothing is happening. And then on the flip side of that, it's like, you know, you want to get from point A to point B, but you're actually heading towards point C and you've gotten really far. So it's like you feel like, okay, I've gotten somewhere, but I haven't accomplished what I want. And my desired destination feels so far away, right? And so, as much as both of those situations suck, the thing that they have in common is that they give you some really valuable information. You know how when you're in school, or I want to say in life, but this is mostly in school when you're taking an exam and it's multiple choice, right? And they teach you, or at least they used to, because the school system now that's a whole nother topic for another day. But you know, they used to teach you process of elimination, right? Like you get to the right answer by crossing off all the wrong ones. And so what those two situations do is they show you sort of the wrong answers so that you can eliminate what is not the right answer, what's not in alignment, what you don't really want. You know, when we talk about Mars, Mars has a lot to do with desire. It has a lot to do with like primal desire, right? And so, well, I guess I should put this up just that since we're talking about it already. Mars has a lot to do with primal desire. But here's the thing, a lot of times that primal desire, it could represent the first stage of something that we want. And so when you experience what you don't want, it helps to qualify that desire. It helps you to get a lot clear on what it is that you really want. Okay. So for instance, you could say, I want to make a lot of money. That's a very general, broad, and vague desire, right? Well, you can make money in a variety of ways. You know, you can work a 9 to 5 job, you can have a business, you could prostitute yourself, you could sell drugs. Like you could do it in a bunch of different ways. And as you go from point A to point B, which is point A is not having money, to point B, which is having money, you figure out, okay, I want to make money, but I don't want to make it that way. Like I don't want to have to sleep with a whole bunch of random people to get this money, or I don't want to have to fear that I'm going to get arrested because I'm selling drugs, right? Or I don't like the fact that I have a boss and that's someone who's micromanaging me every day. See, you're qualifying that desire. And that's how I feel that Mars retrograde works. And the beauty of Mars retrograde is that it allows us to revisit certain desires, right? So it's not even so much that we're qualifying the things that we want. Perhaps there's something that we were really fired up about, that we were really passionate about in the past, and we now have the opportunity to really go after it, right? Now, of course, when Mars is retrograde, that's not when we're actually doing the going after, right? This is when we're resting. This is when we're figuring out what it is that we want and perhaps the best way to go after it or to attack it, right? Because Mars is very much about fighting. So it's about attacking this. Uh, I guess what I mean by attacking is like finding a solution or finding a way, right? And so I think that's the best use of the energy. And in the meantime, you do experience these like sometimes I like to call them micro frustrations because it's little annoyances, or it could be just a full blown out temper tantrum because things aren't going your way, things aren't panning out how you hoped for. Now you're experiencing resistance when it comes to things because Mars is the planet of war, right? And war means that there's an adversary. So it means that there's resistance there. And so the way that Mars operates, Mars likes to get from point A to point B in the quickest and most direct way possible. But Mars also understands that sometimes there is resistance in the way. Now, this resistance could be internal, it could be external. Either way, you've got to like fight through that resistance. And perhaps one of the things that I like about Mars retrograde is that even if it's bringing up something from the past, right? It could be bringing it up to strengthen your resolve in that thing. Because Mars, I'm not going to say that Mars is a very fleeting energy. It's not. It's just that Mars is very impulsive. So Mars could want something now and then not want it tomorrow, right? I'm sure that you've experienced this. You want something, it sounds good in the moment, but then you realize you really don't want it. It's not worth the effort. But if something is coming back up at this time, a passion, a desire, a goal, something that you strive for, it kind of lets you know that this is something that's important. It's something that is worth fighting for. It's something that is worth putting effort into. And it's telling you, Mars is also telling you like gear up because we understand that the fact that this thing is coming back up, it's like, all right, this is something that is really worth exploring. It's really worth putting an effort. But that effort can be met with resistance. It can be met with confrontation, right? Like, let's say, and I don't know why this example keeps coming to me, but this is the example I keep getting. Like, perhaps you are in a family where everyone does the same thing. Maybe it's a family business, like a family bakery, or maybe everyone is an accountant, or maybe it is, maybe everyone's a doctor or something like that, right? And that is just what is expected of you. And to you, you're like, all right, I guess I'm going to med school. So you apply, you do all the things and all of that stuff, right? And then you realize you're like, this is not what I really want. But you're already knee deep in it. So you're like, all right, let me just go with this. And now Mars retrograde is like, you really don't want to be a doctor, right? You really want to be a musician. And you're like, okay, all right, this is coming back up. So I think this is really something that I need to explore. Maybe being a doctor really isn't for me. Okay. Maybe I really need to explore being a musician or whatever the hell it is, right? But understand that you're probably going to be met with resistance by your family. Your family is like, well, everyone else is a doctor. What makes you so special? What makes you so different? This is our family legacy. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like, are you willing to fight for that? Like, are you willing to say, okay, I really want to stick to this music thing? Or are you going to fold and, be a doctor even when you don't want to? And that's kind of how Mars retrograde can work itself out. So it gets you to really hone in on what it is that you really want, but gear up for the fight that may ensue or the resistance that you may encounter. All right. So, word to the wise. And, yes, it is a transit that kind of sucks. It is a transit that's difficult. It can be taxing. Like I said, I call it the temper tantrum transit because it's these little annoyances that can really get under your skin, that can really frustrate you. But again, use it for what it's good for. Information. What is this telling me? What is it showing me about this thing that I want? What is it showing me about this thing that I'm going after? What is it showing me about that destination that I want to reach? Am I willing to fight for it? Am I willing to go the distance with this thing? Ultimately, only you can answer that question, but Mars retrograde is definitely going to ask it of you. All right? And that's the theme for the week. All right. And speaking of the week, let's get into it and see exactly what we've got going on. All right, so for the week of January 6th, we have Mars retrograde in Cancer. We have Mercury square Neptune. Then Mercury will be making a move into Capricorn. Okay. Then we've got the Sun square Chiron, Mercury square the North Node, and Mars trine Neptune. All right, let's see what this looks like with the moon. So this week we've got the first quarter moon in Aries, and then we have the waxing gibbous moon in Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. And then next week we will have the full moon of the month, which is in the sign of Cancer. So this is a week where the moon is waxing, where it's gaining in momentum, right? We're taking action steps towards the fulfillment of our goals, desires, dreams, whatever. Okay. Notwithstanding the fact that we've got Mars retrograde, which is kind of putting the brakes on those actions. This is a week where you're going to be proactive about doing things behind the scenes, or you should be proactive about doing things behind the scenes. All right. So now let's move into the week. And of course, we begin with Monday. So today we've got Mars retrograde in Cancer. We've got Mercury square Neptune, and we have the first quarter moon in Aries. All right. Let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right. So we've got Mars. What is it? Sorry, I completely forgot. Mars retrograde in Cancer. All right, you'll see that at the right-hand side of the chart. Then we've got Mercury square Neptune. You'll see Mercury at the upper left-hand portion of the chart at 27 degrees Sagittarius. At the bottom, you will see Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces. And then we have the first quarter moon in Aries, which is also at the bottom as well. All right, so I already talked plenty about Mars retrograde, all right? And if you want to know more about Mars retrograde, I did a whole video on it. Link will be in the description box below. I also delineated by sign so that you guys know exactly what to expect. But everything I said just pretty much sums up what that is. All right, so now let's move on to Mercury square Neptune. All right, so Mercury is in Sagittarius, Neptune is in Pisces. Both of these two signs are mutable, which mean that these signs have the energy signature of sort of change, flexibility, and being sort of adaptable, right? And so when it comes to plans, right? When it comes to plans, when it comes to goals, when it comes to dreams, this is where you're going to have to be flexible, okay? Mercury and Sagittarius, I'll say this, Mercury square Neptune is like details versus dreams. Seeing the big picture versus seeing kind of the detail and the granular view, all right? So when it comes to these two things, I think the best way to approach this is to understand that you shouldn't lose the forest for the trees, right? You don't have to just look at exactly what's in front of you. But you can't be so pie in the sky that you miss the details. You miss the important details. So it's kind of a mix of both, right? Little details, a little dreams. Okay. And so as things are changing, and specifically with Mars retrograde, it's also calling for us to be flexible with certain plans, because certain plans may not go as planned. Things may have come to a complete stop, or things may be delayed. Like, all of that is something that you need to take into account. So, I love saying this phrase. It's like, man plans, God laughs, right? Like, I still, I'm gonna give a personal story, right? So in October, I was just in a place I hadn't been in a long time. I was feeling great, energized. I had all these ideas. And, I'm a Virgo sun, so I'm very detail oriented. So I put together all these plans, dates. I use the astrology to plan when I'm going to launch things and do things. From soup to nuts, I put everything together. Every single last one of those plans fell through or was seriously delayed. And by seriously delayed, I mean by months. Things that I was supposed to get done in a week or in a day took weeks. And, this is right when Mars started going retrograde. And of course, I threw a temper tantrum. I had a lot of angry cries. I had a lot of frustration. But it showed me not just how to qualify the things that I want, as I mentioned before, but it also showed me where I needed to be flexible. And flexibility, it can be a tricky kind of thing, right? Because flexibility, I feel like a lot of times goes hand in hand with uncertainty. You have to be flexible because you don't know how things are going to go. It can go this way or that way, or you have no idea how it's going to go. And so you have to remain flexible. And so that can be a little unnerving. But the one thing that flexibility reminds us is that divine timing is a thing. A lot of times we are planning from our ego, we're planning from our limited human vantage point. And God, spirit, universe, whatever you believe in, can see everything. And God is like, all right, I'm not going to shit on your plans, but I am going to tell you that right now. It could work so much better if you did this like 6 months later. You don't know that at the time because you're like, oh, I'm setting this arbitrary deadline for myself. And then when it doesn't happen, you're like, oh, it wasn't meant to happen, or this isn't good, or I'm not good, or whatever we tell ourselves when things don't go our way, right? But spirit is like, I'm not shitting on your plans. It's just you want to get it done in December, but the climate, everything, the environment, the people, everything that you need to successfully bring this to fruition can happen in July, right? So what are you going to do? You got to be flexible. You got to roll with the punches. You got to say, okay, I'm not going to abandon this thing because it's not happening right now, or even because it's not happening in the way that I want it to. You're like, all right, I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to ride the wave. And then when July comes and everything comes together, you're like, I knew that would work. And spirit's like, yeah, okay, thanks. Right. You were kicking and screaming 6 months ago when it wasn't happening. Now, all of a sudden, it worked out. Spirit's not that spiteful, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I think spirit can get a little spicy and be like, yeah, right. You weren't thinking that 6 months ago. But I'm glad that you're appreciative that everything came together now, right? That's today in a nutshell. And then we also have the first quarter moon in Aries. Now, Mars is the ruling planet for Aries. So that slowing down and halting kind of energy, we're definitely feeling that right now because the moon is in Aries. And when the moon is in the first quarter phase, it's halfway between the new moon and the full moon. So this is like, all right, whatever hasn't worked. We are going to push forward. We're going to push ahead. And so again, the pushing ahead part right now is not doing the most. It's not putting forth all this energy. It's really getting things ready behind the scenes. So that's the best use of the energy for today, at least. All right. So that's Monday. Next up, we've got Tuesday. Let's see what we got for Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we have the waxing gibbous moon in Taurus. All right. And let's see what this looks like on the chart. At the upper left-hand portion of the chart, you will see the moon at 0 degrees of Taurus. All right. So now the moon is exalted in Taurus, meaning that it is treated like a king or a queen, I should say, since Taurus is a feminine sign, right? So when the moon is in Taurus, it's like, relax. You ever seen those cows or those bulls, like if you pass a farm like in the middle of the afternoon and they're just kind of laying in the grass, soaking up the sun? Like that is the essence of the moon in Taurus. And it sort of vibes well with everything else that I was saying, right? This is the time to relax, or this is at least the night to relax, chill, get comfortable, okay? Put on your favorite sweats. Binge watch YouTube or Netflix or whatever you like to watch with a nice snack, maybe with a nice drink, okay? And just chill and relax. Like, I love that about the moon in Taurus. However, the thing that the moon in Taurus teaches us is to appreciate what we have. Now, in the context of everything else that I've been talking about, right? It's like you have these goals, you have these things that you want to achieve, especially at this time of the year when everyone is screaming, New Year, new me. But it's like, give yourself credit and be appreciative for how far you've come. Taurus likes to stop and smell the roses. And when the moon is in Taurus, it's like, just chill. Just relax what you've built, what you've accumulated, right? Like I saw this meme the other day and it was someone like talking about, oh, I'm not going out tonight. I'm going to enjoy my mortgage. Like you pay all that money to live in this house. Enjoy it. Chill. Get some comfy socks, nice blanket, and just relax. That's a good thing to do on a Tuesday. Funny story. So I had an ex, right? And we always used to play hooky on Tuesdays. I don't know how it ended up happening, but like once a month, we would call out from work and we would just chill on a Tuesday. And when I tell you, it's the best thing ever because everyone else is at work. So if we would go out, if we would go to the movies, if we would go to eat, there's like nobody there because everyone is at work, right? Tuesday was always the day to chill, right? So with the moon in Taurus, this Tuesday definitely falls in line with that. All right. So that's Tuesday. So now let's move on to Wednesday. So this is what's going on Wednesday. On Wednesday, Mercury is making a move into a new sign. It will be moving into Capricorn. The sun will be square Chiron and Mercury will be square the North Node. All right, let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right, so at the very top of the chart, you will see Chiron at 19 degrees of Aries. The North Node is at 0 degrees of Aries. The North Node is actually set to move this month, but that's another video for another day. And on the right-hand side, you will see Mercury at 0 degrees of Capricorn, and the sun is at 19 degrees of Capricorn. All right, so let us discuss. First, let's talk Mercury and Capricorn. All right, so Mercury had spent some time in Sagittarius because it went retrograde there. So wherever Sagittarius is in your chart is where Mercury was hanging out for a little bit, right? But now Mercury is in Capricorn. And Mercury in Capricorn is the quintessential January energy, right? It's a little serious. It's a little sobering, right? Nothing is as sobering as getting on the scale after the holidays, only to find out that you've gained some weight, right? And you're like, okay, I've got to do something about this. Or maybe you didn't handle all of your responsibilities at the end of the year. You did a little too much partying. Now you get back to work today and your inbox is full of shit. Or you've got all of these unfinished projects that you have to, gain momentum on, right? Mercury in Capricorn is rather serious. It's success driven. It's ambition focused. It really gets you to be serious and disciplined about whatever it is that you're thinking. So you're going to want to take a look at where Mercury is in your natal chart. This is the area of life that's going to get a little serious, and that's going to be highlighted right now. So for instance, let's say you're a Cancer rising. Capricorn would be your 7th house of relationships. When Mercury in your relationship house, this is a great time to have a serious conversation. This is a great time to have a conversation about commitment, longevity, marriage, all of that stuff. If, the 7th house also covers like business partnerships, this is a great time to sign contracts. There's a great time to discuss business. You get the deal, right? So use it to your advantage. Now again, you're going to want to look at where this is happening in your natal chart, but again, great time to have serious conversations, get organized and structured, which at this point in time is key. Because remember, we're not doing the most. And when I say doing the most, we're not doing a whole bunch of extroverted energy. We're sort of really preparing things behind the scenes and resting. So Mercury and Capricorn will definitely get you in a serious frame of mind, definitely get you to make long-term plans, right? Everything about January should be sort of about planning and resting. This isn't a time to just sort of have these knee-jerk reactions or really do things impulsively. It's about, okay, I have this goal. To be honest, let me take the first 2 months of the year to just plan, conserve my energy. Because, honey, you're going to need it later on in the year. And if you don't know why, you're going to want to watch my yearly Astro Forecast so you get all of that information. But you're going to need that energy. So now is the time to rest. But again, Mercury in Capricorn, great time to plan seriously and get structured. All right. Then we have the sun square Chiron. All right. And Chiron is all about healing, right? And so with Chiron, we're very much aware of our insecurities, our shortcomings, all of that stuff, right? But when you have something like the sun square Chiron, it's like your ego can get in the way of your healing, right? Perhaps you feel like, oh, I don't have to heal from this, or oh, I've gotten over this already. Sun square Chiron may have you really feeling like, oh, I've gotten over this, or being a little egoic when it comes to that, or egotistical, okay? If you find that whatever insecurity or hang up or whatever is coming up at this time, it's likely because it needs to be addressed. So rather than just saying, oh, I got over this already, maybe there's a little bit more work that needs to be done. Also, when it comes to this particular transit, this could be a transit that finds you either in a leadership position, that finds you sort of expressing yourself despite your insecurities, Like, the best example I can give of this is like you are called at work to lead a group, right? Maybe you've been called to be a team lead because you're being recognized for your quality of work or your business acumen or whatever it is, right? But you feel like you can't necessarily do that. Maybe you have an insecurity, like you feel like people are going to think you're not smart enough, or people are going to second guess your decisions. And so you're kind of thrust into this team leadership position when you don't feel like you're ready, or you don't feel like, or you feel insecure about it, right? Like that's kind of how this transit can work. And you can really make a lot of headway by pushing past these insecurities, right? By overcoming these fears. Like if you're put in a leadership position, I'm pretty sure you can decide to not take advantage of it, but you would really be doing yourself a disservice because even if it doesn't mean more money, it could mean more skills. It can mean something that you could add to your resume that could help you at the next job, right? So it really behooves you to say, listen, I know I don't feel the best with this. Like, this is really triggering me, or I don't think I can do it. Do it anyway. Do it anyway, shine unapologetically, step into a leadership position and overcome those fears. And in doing so, that's how you're going to heal them. That's how you're going to heal those insecurities. All right. So keep that in mind. Then we also have Mercury square the North Node on Wednesday. All right. And so Mercury square the North Node is all about our North Star. It's all about where we're going, right? It's sort of our destiny. Now, Mercury square the North Node is like your mindset kind of fucking with you when it comes to that. So let's say that your North Star is okay, I am supposed to be an engineer. But meanwhile, Mercury is telling you, you're not good at math. You're not good at science. What are you doing? This isn't going to work. It's like your inner dialogue is really psyching you out from sort of where you're supposed to go. Now, this could be your inner dialogue. This could be advice from other people. This could be chatter or the opinions from other people. You know, Mercury is the communication sign, right? It's communication planet, I should say. And so that communication, whether it's internal or external, is sort of at odds or sort of causing frustration when it comes to where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to be doing. And much in the same way as Sun Square Chiron that I just talked about, it's really about, okay, pushing past that. Now, the thing with the North Node is that it's not necessarily the case that the universe is going to drag you there, right? We all have free will. But everything having to do with your North Node is in alignment. Everything that doesn't have to do with your North Node isn't in alignment. And at a certain point, you realize that being out of alignment does not feel good. It doesn't feel good. It's not fulfilling. It really facilitates like karmic cycles that you can't get out of. It's not the place to be. Okay. And so with Mercury square the North Node, it's like, all right, you got to quiet that noise, whether it's external or internal, and realize, okay, I've been given this North Node, this North Star for a reason, right? I may not feel like I can fulfill this purpose or this goal or whatever it is today, but know that you can and you likely will at some point. So it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what their opinions are. It doesn't matter what my old story is that I tell myself. I can tell myself a new story that is in alignment with my North Node. So that's the best use of the energy for that. All right. So that is Wednesday. Move on to Thursday. The rest of the week kind of gets really light. So on Thursday, we have the waxing gibbous moon in Gemini. Let's see what this looks like on the chart. All right, at the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the moon is at 0 degrees of Gemini. All right, so whenever the moon is in Gemini, things get a little busy. There could be a lot of calls, a lot of emails, a lot of communication, lots of anything, lots of activity, right? Lots going on, multitasking, right? But the thing that I love about the moon in Gemini when it is waxing, okay, is that it facilitates learning new things that could help you get to where you need to go. So You want to learn something financial? Moon in Gemini is great for taking an online course. It's great for talking to someone. It's great for taking a class or a workshop or whatever. Gemini facilitates learning. So learning from others, right? It's like a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And it's not to say that you should tell people your business, like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Not so much, but if you know that someone has expertise in something that you are trying to accomplish, talk to them about it. Be vocal about it. Strike up a conversation, ask for advice, Gemini doesn't necessarily foster mentorship, but being able to have a conversation with somebody about something specific is very much the realm of Gemini. All right. So when the moon is waxing in Gemini, learn something new, talk to people, be social. Right. It's not even so much that you're talking to people based on what you want or what you're trying to do. You ever have those conversations where it's like you're just having a regular conversation and someone says the exact right thing that you needed to hear? Or they give you information that can lead to something else or to someone else, it's like you get these like breadcrumbs to different people or different situations, right? That's how Gemini is. So whenever the moon is in Gemini, learn things and be social. All right, that's Thursday. And then we jump to Saturday. And on Saturday, we have the waxing gibbous moon in Cancer. All right. And so let's see what this looks like on the chart. At the very top portion of the chart, you will see the moon is at 0 degrees of Cancer. All right. So the moon is at home in Cancer. So when the moon is at home, we chill. Much like when the moon is in Taurus, although the moon in Taurus is about luxuriating, the moon in Cancer is like feeling safe and secure, right? Cancer is all about our basic emotional needs. And so when the moon is in Cancer, that's what we focus on. We focus on feeling loved, accepted, comfortable, all of those things, right? It's another phase of the moon where it's good to be at home, do things at home, do things with family, all of that stuff. And again, the moon is going to be waxing. So we're working toward our goals, right? And we're making sure that whatever we're working toward really is in alignment with our basic emotional needs or that it just feels good. Right. And not even just that, when the moon is in Cancer, it's like whatever you're working towards, you nurture it however it needs to be nurtured. All right. So when the moon is in Cancer, it's all about nurturing, feeling those basic emotional needs and feeling comfortable and getting cozy at home. All right. And then finally, we close out the week on Sunday with Mars trine Neptune. Okay. And so let's see what this looks like on the chart. So at the upper portion of the chart, you will see Mars at 27 degrees of Cancer. And on the right-hand side, you will see Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces. All right, so both of these planets are in water signs. So this means emotions, intuition. Now, Mars trine Neptune, that's like you want to drive from New York to LA. You got a brand new car, a rental car. The tank is full of gas. GPS is ready to go, all set up. Boom. You've got your snacks. You've got whoever's traveling with you. You are ready to go. And you are hitting the highway doing 100, right? Like that's Mars trine Neptune. Mars is the car with the gas in it. Neptune would be LA, your destination, right? What I love about this though, because Mars is retrograde, there is something from the past coming back. Right? Something that maybe you really were passionate about, but maybe you didn't have the courage to pursue it back then is coming back around. And now you're like, oh, this changes things. Whatever this passion that's coming up, it could really alter your dream. It could really alter your destination. So again, to use the example, you want to go from New York to LA, brand new rental car, tank full of gas, all that good stuff. But now what example can I give? Okay. So this is very specific and weird, so don't come for me. But okay, so it's Coachella time. And right before you're getting ready to go to LA, you get a phone call and your friend is like, listen, not only do I have tickets to Coachella, I have a villa and everything. And you're like, yo, I've always wanted to go to Coachella. All right, we're not going to LA anymore. We're going to, where is it, Palm Springs or whatever, wherever Coachella is. We're going there instead. That's how Mars retrograde trine Neptune can be. It can alter the destination. It can alter the dream. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're giving something up, although maybe it could be. It could also serve to qualify that dream, like I was talking about before. But I like this because this is something that you've probably wanted. This is probably something that maybe you didn't have the courage to pursue in the past, but now you do. Now a situation has come back around where it's like, interesting. Maybe we should do this time around. Right? So be open to the possibilities. It could really change your destination, but maybe you're going to some place you've always wanted to go now, right? Or maybe you're like, okay, perfect. Going back to my Coachella example, you want to go to LA today, but you're just like, okay, I have tickets for Coachella. Coachella is not for a couple of months. You're like, all right, I'll wait to go to California for when I go to Coachella. And then maybe from Coachella, I'll go to LA, right? Maybe you're delaying something because that's definitely how Mars retrograde could work out, right? Where you delay something or something doesn't happen right now. But either way, a passion from the past, something that you want, a desire from the past could be coming up. Explore it. See if it's even worth giving your energy to. Again, this could be a situation where you're like, okay, not to beat a dead horse, but this example that I'm giving, you're like, okay, you say you have tickets to Coachella, but all right, I don't really feel like it. Or I want to go to LA now. I don't want to have to wait, or I'm just not feeling Coachella. Like, I'm just going to have to spend too much money if I go out there. So we're going to keep with our original plan. Mars retrograde trine Neptune can work in a variety of ways, but you have to be receptive to it and understand that even though this passion may be reignited in you right now, it may not be the time to act on it. Think about it, ruminate on it, let it marinate a little bit and see where it takes you. Because Mars is going to remain in Cancer until February. So we have a month and change of Mars in Cancer. So this is the time for you to figure out, okay, do I really want to do this? Am I willing to put in the work? And ask yourself all of those questions that any retrograde planet will ask of you. But it can change the destination, and that can ultimately be a really good thing. All right, my love. So that concludes this edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week. Oh, Happy New Year, Cassandra. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Oh, glad to see you. Okay. Like I said, I sincerely hope that you got at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want all the information for all the things, they're either in the description box below or tagged to this video. All right, my loves. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you same time, same place next week. All right. Have a great week. Bye.